Jiang Wei, the scientist who created the first genetically modified human babies in one of the most dangerous medical experiments ever, has been released from the prison and wants to return to science. 38-year-old scientist who trained in China and the United States announced the birth of twin girls known by their pseudonyms Lulu and Nana. They were the first human beings with genomes edited using CRISPR. He stated that his goal was to modify their CCR5 gene so the girls would be resistant to the AIDS virus, since both their parents were infected. The announcement was initially greeted with jubilation by Chinese authorities, but it was later revealed that the experiments had violated the most fundamental ethical and medical standards. We are living in an era where humans can tinker with the very essence of life, our DNA. The advancements in genetic engineering are nothing short of mind-blowing, and the impacts are reverberating across organisms and the environment. But before we jump into the pros and cons, let's kick things off with a jaw-dropping fact. Did you know that humans are now capable of making applied and consistently transmitted changes to the genetic composition of living things? That's right, we are talking about modifying DNA, and the numbers might just surprise you. Alright, let's peel back the layers and get to the nitty-gritty of genetic engineering. But before we continue and I ask you to subscribe and hit a like button, I have to be sure that we are all on the same page, so we need somebody to explain us what genetic engineering actually is. What do you think about Dr. Brainy?
Where's my genetically modified juicy burger, you ungrateful students? Alright. Genetic engineering is a process that employs laboratory techniques to manipulate the DNA genes of living organisms. Through methods like DNA manipulation, removal, insertion, and recombinant technology, scientists can modify the genetic makeup of cells, resulting in organisms with desired traits. This technology has evolved from the study of DNA, leading to a deeper understanding of genes and the development of other advanced techniques for precise gene editing. While it holds promise in areas such as medicine, production, disease curves, and the crop resilience, it also raises concerns about unsettled science, unstated claims, and the unknown long-term effects. Now, I want to eat my burger made of genetically modified wheat and beef. And I have to hurry up. Why am I always late?
In simple terms, it's like having a cosmic toolbox to tweak the very blueprint of life, the DNA. Imagine it as a high-tech Lego set where scientists don their lab coats to rearrange those tiny building blocks that make every living thing tick. Genetic engineering, my friends, is a wizardly happening in laboratories where scientists play genetic DJs, remixing the tunes of life itself. The National Human Genome Institute defines it as a process where we roll up our sleeves, get down to the molecular level, and shuffle the genes of an organism like a deck of cards. Now, let's dive into the how. Scientists armed with the molecular scalpels, okay, maybe not actual scalpels, but close enough, slicing and dicing DNA, removing sequences like a genetic magic trick. But it doesn't end there. They can also throw in new gene sequences, creating a genetic cocktail that gives organism a fresh set of instructions. Now that we've set the stage, let's dive into the cool gadgets and gizmos of genetic engineering, the tech that turns those genetic dreams into reality. Recombination technology, the OG of gene remixing. Imagine it as the granddaddy of genetic engineering. This technique uses molecular scissors called the restriction enzymes to cut and paste DNA sequences. It's like rearranging the genetic puzzle pieces to create a new masterpiece. Zinc finger nucleases. Enter the genetic ninjas. Zinc finger nucleases are like precision-guided missiles in the world of DNA editing. Fused with a 3-base pair DNA binding domain, they make sure they hit the bullseye, giving us a sneak peek into the future of surgical genetic modification. CRISPR-Cas9, the game changer. Hold onto your hats for this one. CRISPR, or as I like it to call, a rock star of genetic engineering, is taking the scientific world by storm. It's like the find and replace tool for genes, adopting a bacterial defense mechanism to edit genes. And get this, it's accessible, low cost, and precise. CRISPR-Cas9 isn't just a breakthrough, it's a revolution. CRISPR-Cas9 is so hot right now that it's being used in some eyebrow-raising experiments, from tweaking viruses to playing with the very fabric of life. Embryos. Base editing. The DNA Vault editors think of base editing as the editor correcting typos in the genetic manuscript. It's a simpler technique that makes single base substitutions without causing the havoc of double-stranded breaks in the DNA. We are talking about potential cures for genetic diseases caused by tiny errors in the DNA code. Prime editing. The DNA magicians. Enter the DNA magicians. Prime editing is a contemporary marvel using an enzyme to create single-strand breaks in DNA. It's like rewriting the genetic story with a sophisticated pen, avoiding the messing business of double-strand breaks. Prime editing is a whisper of hope for safer and more precise genetic syncing. As you can see, genetic engineering isn't just science, it's a game changer across various realms of life. Let's take a whirlwind tour through the diverse sectors where genetic engineering is rewriting the rules. Imagine crops with superhero powers. That's what genetic engineering does for agriculture. We are talking about crops that love in the face of pests and diseases. In the 1990s, GM crops trotted onto the scene, with almost all US corn becoming genetically modified, facing off against droughts and pests like genetic superheroes. These crops aren't just resilient, they also the secret sauce behind increased yields and flavor-enhanced fruits and veggies. In healthcare, genetic engineering isn't just about fixing, it's about creating medical revolution. Insulin that's not extracted from animals but brewed with the magic of genetic modification. Welcome to the era of biotech medicines, from antibodies to hormones, all thanks to genetic engineering. Genetic modification isn't just for us, it's Mother Nature's wingman. Genetically modified organisms, GMOs, fighting battles against all spills. That's right, it's creating enzymes and microorganisms much and oil spills, making our planet a cleaner, greener heaven. Genetic engineering is our environmental superhero, tackling challenges with the precision of a genetic scalpel. Speaking about dollars, genetic engineering is a cash cow. Industries are tapping into genetic engineering for everything from enzymes for production to microbiological wonders. It's $1 trillion game where even seemingly unrelated industries are saying we want some of this genetic magic too. The commercial sector is driving innovation, putting funds into genetic engineering for solutions to health, food security and environmental hurdles. Now let's talk about pros of genetic engineering. Understanding DNA and genes. Decoding life's blueprint. Genetic engineering is like a cosmic decoder ring for DNA. It didn't just happen overnight. It's the result of scientists peering into the microscopic dance of molecules. Thanks to brilliant minds like Watson and Crick, we've uncovered the secrets of DNA, leading to a genetic revolution. The discovery of enzymes like helicase and DNA polymerase is like having a molecular toolkit for precise DNA tinkering. Production of medicines. Biotech marvels for health. Genetic engineering has become the backbone of healthcare. It's not just about pills and syringes, it's about biological wonders brewed in the lab. From immunoglobulins to monoclonal antibodies, genetic engineering is the wizard behind the healthcare curtain. Recombinant insulin, a genetic engineering triumph, has become the go-to treatment for diabetes, reaching millions worldwide. Cures for genetic diseases, gene therapy promise. Enter the realm of gene therapy, the beacon of hope for diseases rooted in faulty genes. Picture this, a world where sickle cell disease and hemophilia bow down to the power of genetic correction. Genetic engineering is gearing up to rewrite the destiny of those plagued by gene mutations. While gene therapy holds the promise of cures, the road to consistent and safe treatment is still unfolding. Development of productive crops. Agriculture's genetic revolution. Agriculture isn't just about plows and seeds anymore, it's a genetic spectacle. Genetic engineering has unleashed a green revolution, creating crops that scoff at pests and stand resilient in the face of adversity. We are talking about crops with superpowers, pest resistance and improved oil profiles. The genetically engineered crops aren't just about abundance, they're about sustainable agriculture, using fewer resources for higher yields. I know that guy in white can be persuasive, but let's talk about cons of genetic engineering. Incomplete understanding of genes and DNA. The vast landscape of genetics, a realm where scientists armed with curiosity navigate through the uncharted territories of genes and DNA. The science of genetics is far from settled. Recent discoveries have thrown curveballs challenging the very foundations of our understanding. Until recently, scientists believed that 99% of DNA was mere junk. The truth? It's a complex orchestra conducting the symphony of life. Promises of genetic engineering may take years to fulfill. Genetic engineering often wears the cloak of promise, but beneath it lies a journey filled with hurdles. The road from experimental success to real-world applications is riddled with failures. Claims of solving food shortages and diseases might be overstated, and the reality of genetic engineering may be years away. For every success, there are countless experiments that hit roadblocks. Geneticists dance with cells and proteins that sometimes refuse to follow the script. Uncertainty about long-term impact on species, individuals, and ecosystems gaze into the future. And what do you see there? A question mark hangs over the long-term effects of genetic engineering on species, individuals, and entire ecosystem. The introduction of genetically modified GM crops raises concerns about their impact on health and the delicate balance of nature. GM crops might be the superheroes of agriculture, but their potential effects on ecosystem and human health remains a lingering mystery. Insertional mutations. Unwanted genetic roulette. Genetic engineering is like wielding a molecular scalpel, but sometimes it leaves unintended scars. Insertional mutations, the unwelcome guest in the genetic dance, can introduce errors and mutations. What's more unsettling? These genetic hiccups might be passed down to future generations. Imagine creating a genetic masterpiece only to find that it comes with unpredictable mutations, like a hidden code waiting to unfold. In the grand tapestry of genetic engineering, the threads of promise and caution are intricately woven. The pros dazzling like constellations in the scientific cosmos, promise curves, resilient crops, and boundless innovation. Yet, as we traverse this genetic odyssey, the cons cast shadows, raising questions about the unpredictable dance of genes and the unknown repercussions on our world. In this genetic frontier, the call echoes for a rigorous evaluation, a sentinel guarding the boundaries of high ethical standards and stringent regulation. As stewards of progress, we must tread carefully, acknowledging the weightiness of our choices. The global genetic engineering industry is valued at over $1 trillion, showcasing both its promise and economic impact. The saga of genetic engineering unfolds with each discovery and experiment. It's not just about science, it's a delve into the realms of human, animal, and environmental health and welfare. The call for ongoing investigation resonates in the air, inviting us to be vigilant architects of the future where the genetic dance harmonizes with the symphony of life. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, not to miss our next cool videos. See you very soon.